Hello everyone, Sally here, and welcome back to another Bedrock Edition tutorial for the 1.16 Nether update. Today I'll be showing you how to build a very simple and very efficient iron farm in your Minecraft worlds. Now, one thing that is very important to know about 1.16 iron farms is that they are 10 times faster than previous updates. Not only that, they're actually really simple and very straightforward to build. The farm that I'll be showing you how to build in today's tutorial is a one chunk farm, meaning that it's 16 by 16. This iron farm will produce around 420 iron ingots per hour, and that is just crazy efficient for such a simple iron farm. This is going to pretty much completely revolutionize Bedrock Edition. We've never really had universally available iron, and I cannot wait to see what everyone does with the easy sources of iron that we now have on Bedrock Edition. It is one of the best features of the Nether update. So let's take a closer look at the rates of this iron farm. This little chest right here is from 1 hour of running the farm, and as you can see, we got a lot of iron, quite a few poppies, and also 49 string. So this is about what you can expect to get every single hour of running this iron farm. It's around 420-ish ingots per hour. It's a fairly efficient farm, especially considering the size. By the way, did I mention that you can actually stack this iron farm and have multiple of them in the same area, all running at one time for even more efficient rates? Well, you can, and it's a really cool thing. I'll have more information about how to do that at the end of today's tutorial. Timestamps for everything is on screen right now. So right now we have a chunk border resource pack on, and that's why we have all these red and blue lines throughout the world. Each one of these squares is a 16 by 16 area, and as you can see, all of the main parts of this farm are within one chunk of the world, which is kind of ideal, especially on a Bedrock Edition with the very low simulation distance. So as you can see, all of the water streams, all of the spawning pads, all of the beds, all of the villagers, and all the workstations, including the kill chamber, is within a single chunk. So for you to understand the basics of how this iron farm works, you need to know the 3 basic rules of an iron farm on Bedrock Edition. First of all, you need to have at least 20 beds in your village, you need to have at least 10 villagers in your village, and 75% of your villagers must have worked at their workstation in the previous day. That last rule with the workstations is a brand new one in the 1.16 Nether update, and that is why we have workstations in here. So everything important about this iron farm is happening right here in between the 2 floors, just kind of sandwiched in there. First of all, we have all the beds kind of floating mid-air, just so that we can get golems on the top floor of the farm, and also here on the bottom floor as well, just to give us a lot more spawn spaces for those golems to spawn on. And then you can notice that we have 3 little pods to the sides. These are actually full of your villagers. So we have 1 pod of 8 villagers right there. We have a pod of 4 villagers right there, and then we have another pod of 8 villagers over in the side as well, and that gives us a total of 20 villagers and also 20 workstations. Now, the reason why we have 20 villagers in this iron farm is that way we can have 2 iron golems at one time. You only get 1 iron golem per 10 villagers, so by having 20 villagers instead of 10, you actually get a lot more golems per hour, and it significantly helps out your rates, which is a great thing and honestly quite worth it. So all of these villagers are linked to their workstations. All of the villagers are also standing in water, and that prevents them from unlinking from their workstations or unlinking from their beds. It honestly is a lifesaver kind of mechanic, and it's really going to help you with the build process of this as well. You won't really have to worry about villager linking or bed linking or workstation linking. It's pretty much just going to work. So you might be wondering why we have our villagers split up into 3 different containers, and that is so that they can always access their workstations. As you can see, we have their workstations laid out in a little bit of a cross on all 4 cardinal directions of the villagers. These seem to be the most reliable places for villagers to access their workstations. Technically, they can access them here in the corners as well, or even up an additional level. However, that seems to be a little bit unreliable with them being willing to work. And of course, if they're not willing to work at their workstations, then you might not meet your quota of 75% of your villagers working, and then you won't get iron golems. So I decided to play it safe rather than sorry and split up our containers to have all of the workstations be in the most reliable configuration, which is in the cardinal directions. So it does matter what kind of villager you actually use in your iron farm. So of course our villagers need to work in order to spawn iron golems, and there are 3 different professions that do not work when it's raining or thundering. That would be librarians, fishermen, and farmers. So you cannot use composters, barrels, or lecterns inside of your iron farm because that will significantly reduce your rates whenever it rains. Furthermore, due to how we've set up our farm, you cannot use any of these workstations because they don't really contain the villagers that well. These are the 6 different workstations that you'll want to use inside of your farm. You get the loom, the blast furnace, the cartography table, the fletching table, the smithing table, and the smoker. You can choose any one of these that you want. Probably the fletching table because it's super cheap and easy to make, and honestly, you're not going to be trading with these villagers anyway. And 2 final details about the farm before we hop into the tutorial. We have a 3x3 drop chute going to our kill chamber because a 2x2 drop chute is actually too small for 2 iron golems to fit through. Iron golems are very large, so you need a 3x3 in order for them to fit through properly. And also down here at the bottom, we just have a standard lava kill chamber, but we also include campfires at the bottom this time to kill all of the cats. You get a lot of cats, and sometimes they don't die from the lava. They literally have 9 lives. You could send them like through multiple lava blades and they would still survive. It's honestly quite ridiculous. They're very, very strong and very evasive of lava. Anyway, we put the campfires in there just to kill them all because cats are useless and they give you a little bit of nice string. So 2 things before we hop into the tutorial. 1, I am curious about what you're going to use all of your super easy iron for. Are you going to make like a bajillion hoppers? Are you going to start decorating with iron blocks or just trading the iron to villagers for emeralds? I'm curious what you're going to use the easy iron for, so let me know in the comment section down below, and I'm very curious to see what you're going to do. And also, if you are new to the channel and you want to see a whole bunch more Nether update tutorials in the future, then of course consider subscribing. Subscribing is the best way to ensure that you see all of the future tutorials that I upload and you don't miss a single one of them. And also, you would help us reach 250,000 subscribers, which we are getting very close to. So that would be cool. Join the silence by subscribing, and let's hop into it. And now we are ready to start construction of our iron farm. So first of all, there's going to be a materials list for this build down in the description of the video, just in case you want to know exactly what materials you need to construct this iron farm. Second of all, you want to mark out a 16 by 16 area in your Minecraft world. Of course, make sure this is chunk aligned. You want your iron farm to be chunk aligned. That way there's no issues with the villagers getting randomly deleted or desyncing from their stuff. If you're not sure of how to find chunk borders, check out the tutorial that I have linked in the upper right and down in the description. Before we start building, you need to make sure that your iron farm is at least 96 blocks away from any other kind of villager tech. This includes villages, villagers, beds, bells, workstations, anything having to do with villagers needs to be at least 96 blocks away. I would say go quite a bit further just to make sure, and this is absolutely imperative. If your iron farm is too close to other villager related tech, it will be broken and it will not work. So we're going to build up the kill chamber first. So go to the very center of your chunk. You should have a 2x2 area, and we're going to turn this into a 3x3 area. It's not going to be centered, and I'm sorry about that. I know it's painful, but it's just going to be what it is. So we need to clear out a 3x3 area, put down at least a double chest, and then put 9 hoppers going into that double chest. You then want to build up by 5 blocks. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then on the 5th block, this is going to be the very bottom spawning level for our iron farm. So I'm going to go ahead and build this all the way up around our little 3x3 pad. And there we go. That is now built up to the height that it needs to be. And now what you need to do is expand this platform out of solid blocks. You can make this any form of solid block that you like. Stone, cobblestone, stone bricks, whatever you like. Just make sure that it is solid blocks. Slabs will not work. And you want to make this platform 16 by 16. So line it up with the edges of the chunk that you have marked out below. And there we go. We now have a 16 by 16 platform installed. And now what you want to do is you want to go ahead and put a 2 tall wall going all the way around this thing, again out of solid blocks. So just make this going 2 tall all the way on the outside. And there we go. All the walls are now in place. And now what we want to do is we want to mark out 3x3 areas in the corners of this platform, and that's where our villagers are going to go. So this right here is the front of the farm where we have our double chest, and I'm just going to go for these 3 corners. So just put down 9 solid blocks in these areas, and then we'll install our villagers shortly. And now it's time to prepare the pods for our villagers. So in each one of your 3x3 areas, you want to replace the middle block with a glass block on the floor, and then just put some glass blocks up on the edges as well. And now we need to collect 20 different villagers for our iron farm. First of all, there's a couple things that you need to know before you go off and go crazy getting different kinds of villagers. You cannot use any babies in your farm. These guys don't link to workstations and don't work, so they won't spawn iron golems. You cannot use any nitwits. Nitwits are the green ones. They don't work. They won't spawn iron golems. You can't have any villagers that have been traded with. These won't work to the workstation that you're probably going to be using, so they're not going to work and they're not going to spawn iron golems. And also, you cannot use any villagers that are part of an existing village. Like this guy is linked to this workstation and a bed somewhere in the world, so he's not going to work as part of our iron farm because he's not going to link to our beds and our new workstations. What you want is this clean vanilla villager. He doesn't have a workstation, he's not linked to anything, it's an adult, and he's never been traded with. You need 20 of these guys. This is exactly what you want for your iron farm. So in total, you want 8 villagers in this cell right here, you want 4 villagers in this cell, and you want 8 villagers in this cell over here. Of course, the easiest way to move villagers around is by using a minecart and rail, so just individually transfer them one by one, and it'll be a pretty easy time. Also, if you're in creative mode, you can just use spawn eggs. Spawn eggs are fine. And now that all of your villagers are in their cells, what you want to do is go ahead and put a glass block above each and every single one of these cells. That's going to prevent anything from getting into your cells and also prevent your villagers from getting out. And now, one of the trickiest parts of this farm is going to be actually placing a water bucket at the feet of these villagers. So you need to break one of these blocks and then just simply place in a water bucket right there and seal it back up. Now, the water is actually a very, very important part of this farm. This will prevent your villagers from unlinking from their beds, unlinking from their workstations, and overall will make things a lot easier and take a lot of the hassle out of villagers. And now we're going to start installing the beds of our iron farm. So grab yourself some temporary blocks, and we're going to pillar up 3 blocks right here in line with the center drop chute. You can remove the bottom 2, and now we're just going to make a little bit of a ring going all the way around this drop chute. So it should be like that. And now we need to make this ring too wide, so just go ahead and put an extra ring all the way around to the outside edge, and it should look a little bit something like that. And now we're going to need ourselves 20 different beds, and I would say make 19 of the beds one color and get one of the bed to be a different color. Now, the first bed that you place down is going to be the actual center of the village, and this can be very, very important to know when it comes to actually stacking this iron farm, so keep that in mind. The first bed that we're going to place down is going to be a yellow one. It can be any color that you want, and now a village has been created, and this right here is the very center of that village. We can now go ahead and start slowly placing down the rest of our beds. Place them down one at a time and make sure that each individual bed gets these green linking particles and that it's actually linking to a villager. If you place down a bed and it does not get these particles, simply break the bed and then place it back down. You want to make sure that every single one of these links to your villagers. And there we go. We have now placed all 20 of our beds in that kind of pattern right there. I went ahead and removed those temporary blocks underneath the beds, and at this point we should start seeing a whole bunch of cats spawn. You can just ignore them. They're annoying and in the way. Now what you need to do is stand in this corner over here where we can see all 3 of the other cells of villagers and just start placing down a workstation one at a time. That workstation linked to somebody in that pod over there, so we're going to break it, remove one of these pieces of glass, and place down the workstation right there. As you can see, it has now linked to that guy. That guy will never unlink from that workstation and will work at that every single day for the rest of his miserable life. And now we can do the same thing 19 more times. So as you can see, this is an extremely simple and straightforward process, and you will start doubling up workstations pretty early on because these guys are pretty jammed in there. It doesn't matter in which order you place them as long as they are to one of the cardinal directions. That way they can always access their workstation. So just keep going until you place all 20 workstations for your villagers, and congratulations, you are now 95% of the way done with this iron farm, and you should start to see some iron golems spawn shortly. They will be kind of in your way for the time being, but that is not too big of an issue. And there you go. As you can see, we got our first one instantly. Great timing. Now it is time to finish up this lower level. So go to each of your 3 corners where you have a villager and simply put a solid block in all of these corners, just like so. And then we're going to be putting slabs on top of everything at this layer. So let's get these other 4 blocks in place. So now just go ahead and place a lower half slab on top of all of these different blocks going all the way around. This will prevent cats and iron golems from spawning up here and will prevent them from ruining the rates of your farm. And now go ahead and place a piece of glass on top of each one of these different workstations, and then just put 1 torch by these villagers as well. The torch isn't necessary, but I find myself being very paranoid having villagers in the dark, so just put down a little torch and it might prevent some possible mob spawns. And before we fill in the water for this lower layer, we're going to build up the second layer. So the second layer is going to go literally directly above your beds right here, and this is going to be made out of solid blocks as well. Of course, this needs to be a 16 by 16 platform, so just go ahead and fill in this entire thing. Now that that's installed, all you need to do is put a 1 tall wall going all the way around this. In each of the corners, place 3 blocks up like this for our water sources, and then once you have those in place, we need to cover everything in a layer of lower half slabs to prevent iron golem spawns on these edges. And there we go, our second spawning platform is now completely done besides the water. We're now going to head down to the bottom of the farm and finish installing the kill chamber. We didn't install this earlier because it does involve lava, and that is kind of a bad thing to fall into. So you want 9 signs right here at head level, and then go ahead and get yourself 1 lava source right in the center. Of course, make sure that does not flow out over your head or anything like that. So now you can go ahead and put yourself in some campfires down here at the bottom. You will need 9 of these, and these don't help kill the golems faster or anything. It has no impact on the golems, but it's just for the cats. You can use soul campfires if you want. That also has no effect, but it could look cool if you want to do that. And now we're going to go ahead and break into the middle layer of this farm right here, and we're going to place in 10 signs. It might be a little bit difficult to see due to the smoke. However, the signs will indeed be placed, so you just want to place those in this little 3x3 grid. This will prevent the water from actually flowing down. If we block off the smoke for a second, you can see that this is what the signs should look like. So now go to the corner that doesn't have any villagers in it, remove any cats that might be in your way, and place down 1 solid block. You want to place down a water source on top of that solid block, and do not place any water sources right here or right there. You want to skip a block and then fill in water sources going all the way down to this wall, water sources all the way along this wall between those villager cells, and then water sources all the way down this wall between those villager cells. Finish it off on this side with even more water sources, making sure to stop 1 block short of that right there. If you place a water source right there, this entire thing is going to flood and turn into water sources instead of flowing water. Now go up to the top level, and we need to install even more signs. Put 1 right there, and then 3 on top of it like so. 3 on the sides of that one, and then 3 on the opposite side like that as well. Now we can install the water without it flowing down to the lower layers. So you want 1 block on top of that corner bit, skip a block, and then just water sources all the way. Skip a block right here, 1 on top of that, and then flood it all the way to the other side, and do this for all 4 sides. As you can see, it's a lot of water, shouldn't take too long though, and then once you have it done, it should look a little bit something like that. All the golems will now get pushed to the center, and your farm is officially 100% complete. So as you can see, this farm is actually incredibly easy to build, if not a little bit tedious with the villagers, but honestly, everything with villagers is tedious as of the Village and Pillage update. As you can see, we got a ton of iron golems. This thing has not been active for that long, and we already got 23 iron ingots. This farm is going to serve you extremely well in your Minecraft worlds, and I'm very pleased with it. Let me know your thoughts about it in the comment section section down below. Now, this farm is technically stackable. There is some new information floating around the Minecraft community that is very helpful for stacking these farms. So when I'm talking about distances and everything, distances is from the very center of the village, which is the pillow of the first bed that you placed, which is of course a different color because I'm a smart person and I told you to do that because it's very helpful. So if you want to build 2 of these farms in your Minecraft world, they need to be 96 blocks away horizontally. So that is 96 blocks in between the pillow of one farm to the pillow of the next farm. Now, it's actually a little bit shorter if you want to build 2 of these on top of each other. If you want to build 2 of these on top of each other, there needs to be 76 blocks between one pillow to another pillow, which is not too bad. So you can actually get away with building several of these even on a 4-chunk simulation distance. So that's pretty helpful. Now, something else that is incredibly important for you to know if you're trying to stack these farms is that the player, you, have to be within 42 blocks of the actual center of the village vertically for iron golems to spawn. So you can go 42 blocks above that bed right there, or you can go 42 blocks below that bed for iron golems to spawn. If you go 43 blocks, all golem spawns will completely stop. Now, this isn't like a sphere around the bed, it's actually more of a cube. So I've set up a little demonstration to describe how this works to you. So right now I'm exactly 42 blocks above the bed for this iron farm. As you can see, we're getting a ton of different iron golems. I've sped up the game very, very much. And then we have a little command block set up right here to actually tell us how many golems there are. 1 light is 1 golem, 2 light is 2 golems. So as you can see, we can actually go quite far away and then we'll still get iron golems in our farm. As you can see, the spawning of iron golems is not impacted by the spawning or despawning spheres of a Bedrock Edition, so we can go several chunks away. We're actually as far away from that iron farm as we can be before it's unloaded, and we're still getting iron golems to spawn. Now, we can't go a single block higher because all iron golem spawns will stop. That means that we can have 4 iron farms on all sides of you and stack them as well. So you can very easily have 8 iron farms within a 4-chunk simulation distance. Just by knowing the distances required, you should be able to build these relatively easily in your Minecraft worlds if you are familiar with iron farm stacking. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns about today's Bedrock Edition tutorial, then of course let me know in the comment section down below. I'm always trying to help you guys out as best as I possibly can. Also, if you did enjoy today's video, please do leave a like as it significantly helps out the video and the channel a ton. If you're new here, then make sure to subscribe so you don't miss future tutorials, and otherwise, I will see you all down in the comment section and in the next one. Thank you ever so much for watching, and then there was silence.